Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is the Indie Soul Prepper. Got a story I wanted to run by you real quick. Give you the lowdown on this game the teens are playing nowadays, and give you a little heads up that the mainstream media is not giving us. New game's called the Knockout Game. Um, Examples of troubling knockout game popping up all over. This is out of New York, CBS. Goes on to say, a disturbing and brutal game among teens is also targeting other victims in other cities. So it's starting to spread a little bit. I'm sure they're using the social media and whatnot, and it's spreading. It's kind of like the flash mob violence that we've seen in the past. Goes on to say, brutal videos coming from various places, including Pittsburgh, where a teacher was attacked, and London, where a teen was hit from behind. CBS learned of another victim, a 78-year-old woman, was attacked a week ago in Midwood. It's called the Knockout Game. Now, they have a little video that I'm going to play for you, but what they leave out is a lot of the information that can help protect future victims. Like, first of all, let's point out that all the victims are usually elderly or defenseless white folks. Basically, we got old women and older men, and from what you tell, I mean, they're completely sucker punched, not ready. The kids are interviewed. Some of them even admit that they're robbing people, but all these victims are white. And for those of you who pay attention, know this is nothing new. There's a really good book out there right now. It's called White Girl Bleed a Lot. You might check that out. It really gets into this media bias, where white people are being attacked. And if you look at government data, crime statistics, 90% of all violent crimes are with a black perpetrator on a white victim. So check that out. Don't let the media blind you to what's going on. I'm not sitting here trying to hate black people all day. I love black people, but there's some useful idiots out there that the government is coddling and letting perpetrate these acts, to stir up whatever. It's just like the look up the Bolshevik and Communist Revolution. Lenin called these folks useful idiots. He coddled them, used them, to do a lot of his dirty work, and then when everything was done and he had absolute power, then what did he do with the useful idiots? Look it up and figure it out. But anyway, the media has been doing this for some time. They're ignoring it. Even here in Indianapolis, where I live, we have a hike and bike trail called the Monon Trail. People get robbed. Always white people. It's always black kids. And when you hear the story, it's always group of teens rob man, or they never say a group of blacks. They never say the victim, skin color. So it really kind of throws you to the wolves, because they're not giving you the clues to figure out the pattern of what's going on. So anyway, let's play this video if I can get it to play, and we'll take a look at it.
CBS Broadcast Center in New York City. This is CBS 2 News at 11.
Punched, smacked, knocked unconscious to the ground out of nowhere by a stranger. Could you be the next target for this sick game? Good evening, I'm Christine Johnson.
And I'm Maurice Dubois. It is called the Knockout Game. CBS Dave Carlin has new information on how the NYPD is taking action.
Teenagers are jumping on a brutal bandwagon knockout. Videos from New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania getting hit after hit on social media, showing hit after hit on innocent victims. Here is a 50-year-old school teacher punched with so little warning there wasn't any time to brace or break this fall. Now in Brooklyn, the latest victim to come forward is the 78-year-old mother of this woman who's too afraid to show her face on camera.
My family is very frightened.
The attack on her mother in the middle of the day in Midwood left a huge knot on the back of her head. None of her belongings were even
her purse, and she had bags from department stores. There was not even an attempt to take anything from her. This was simply a wanton act to hurt another human being.
Her mother did not need to go to the hospital. In that sense, she was lucky. In Hoboken in September, these 3 teens seen in this video were arrested and charged with attacking 46-year-old Ralph Santiago. His head slammed into this fence with such force it killed him. Since October, there have been 4 attacks in Crown Heights. In this video, an Israeli man is surrounded. The picture is fuzzy, but you can tell he is getting punched, but not robbed. State Assemblyman Dave Carlin points out every victim in Brooklyn has this one thing in common.
It happens to be a Jew in each and every case.
We just learned police will take these ugly videos to city schools and lecture teens on the serious consequences. But Carlin and fearful member...
See, I got to stop that for a second. Now, I find that interesting as well. I got nothing against Jewish people, even though most of them are really come from King Bulin and Khazaria. You know, you're not really going to find any Jews today that can be traced back to the blood of Abraham. But irregardless, this man, you know, all of a sudden puts the Jews into the mix. What do they have in common, you know, Jewish? Well, I'll tell you what, you know, I would imagine that in most of these cases, maybe not all, but I'm sure that's not why. I'm sure it was because they were white. I mean, if you do your research on YouTube and look at video after video, the commonality is the perpetrators are black and the victim is white, okay? And, you know, if you're a white man, you're a white man, you know? So... let's go on and see what else I got to say.
The community want much more than that.
I'm for people being arrested. That would be the best education in the world.
Give a message for them.
How would you feel if this was happening to you or to a member of your family? If you don't like it to happen.
Police will visit 15 schools in Brooklyn to teach teens about the dangers of this so-called knockout game.
Now, you know, that's interesting. The man, you know, he wanted to identify with the Jewish race, which, you know, whatever, you know, do what you got to do. But I'm here to tell you the truth. The commonality between all these folks is that they had white skin. Watch your back. Be ready. You know, what I do is I just don't put myself in the situation to where that can happen to me. You know, I avoid those situations and those scenarios, you know, to the best of my ability, and it works. You know, if you have to be in an area where that's likely to happen, then, you know, for your job or whatever you got to do, well, then you got to do what you got to do. But just a heads up that this is going on. You can get on YouTube and check out videos on Peoria, Illinois, about the flash mobs and a lot of the race violence that's going on there. You know, I want everybody to get along. You know, I'm a Christian, and I'd love for everybody to, you know, be in Christ, and let's all be brothers and sisters. But, you know, that's just not a reality. So, until we, you know, those of us who believe get to New Jerusalem, we're going to have to deal with the fact that we're living in a Tower of Babel type of society, and you cannot have all these people all mashed up together and not have violence. It ain't going to happen. The only way you can do that is under Christ's kingdom, you know, under Jesus. You can do that, and that's what we're promised, you know, those of us that believe. But, you know, what this government's trying to do now is just nothing more than a modern day Tower of Babel. I'm not a racist at all, you know. My first love was a black girl, so let's do away with that right now. But what we're moving into right now, and what they're shaping up, is a modern day New World Order, Tower of Babel. They're opening the borders. Europe's getting flooded with Arabs. America's getting flooded with Mexicans, and, you know, they're trying to push for a North American Union, bringing down the borders between Canada and U.S. and then U.S. and Mexico. It's Tower of Babel, folks, and it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. I don't know what to say about it. Under Christ, it can work, but under a government, under Obama, under whoever is going to try to be in charge of this whenever they get done with it. It ain't going to work, you know. Only under Christ could something like that work, you know. People have their differences, and there's going to be tension. Now, you know, if we had the media telling the truth, and if we had Department of Justice and everybody doing their job, we could maintain it, you know. But this country's too far gone for that, really. I mean, you know, once you took God out of the schools, it just, you know, the school's a joke. It's a communist education camp, you know. That's why, you know, we homeschool. I went through that mess. I could tell you all about it. I've seen all this stuff that's happening and that the news is just now talking about. I grew up in it, you know. I suffered all that persecution and all that, usually being the only white guy in the class. And I've seen it all, you know. This is nothing new to me, but I want to give you a heads up, those out there, you know, keep yourself out of the bad neighborhoods and whatnot, and just keep yourself safe. Don't go hating black people, you know. That ain't going to help anything, you know. Every culture, every group has its scumbags, you know. But this is just a heads up. Do your own research, check into it, and that's it. Until next time, this has been Indy Soul Prepper.